It's the 12th game in the match between Anish, Giri and Vidit Gujrathi, and the second bullet game. The players have arranged the pieces in a way where the clock is not accurately placed. It should be usually on the right side of black, so that his small disadvantage of having black pieces is compensated by your right hand being able to press the clock, because both Anish and Vidit are right-handers. So off we go. Anish Giri opens the game with 1e4, and we have the Ruy Lopez on the board, knight to f6, d3, and we have the anti-Berlin. This is generally not an opening you play in the bullet, but for now it seems like both players want to play highly classical and correct chess. Bishop to g5, pinning the knight, h6 by Vidit. The bishop moves back. Is Vidit going to play g5? Because generally in bullet you are worried about those sacrifices on g5, but Anish doesn't even think for a bit. He brings his bishop back, knight to d7, defending the pawn. Maybe it's time to break in the center with d4. Nice little move there, because if you were to take on d4 here, then already you are in trouble with e5. That's the reason why Vidit plays the very nice move queen to f6. Excellently played there. Now you can take on e5, or you can also play c3, just bolstering your center. White definitely seems to be slightly better, so Anish taking his time. He has 50 seconds on the clock. He takes on e5, knight takes, and now knight d4 would have been the best, but he takes, bishop takes, all exchanges, mass exchanges on in the center, and now queen to d4. So Anish trying to go into an endgame where he's trying to prove that his kingside majority means something, but Vidit is like, I don't care, my pieces are active and that's all what matters. Rook f to d1 played here, so that the bishop later cannot come to c4 and attack this rook. c5 by Vidit. He's forcing Anish to take his bishop. F takes e6. We know that rook endgames are drawish, but white does have a nominal advantage here of a better pawn structure. So Vidit must be careful. He brings his king in. Both sides bring their kings in. King f2 played. And now king to e7. And Anish could have played king e3, but now trades one rook and brings his king in. Why do you give your open file to black? That's because Anish wants to open up a front on the king side with h4. He doesn't believe that the d file is important. He's going to use his rook on the king side. So that's a very interesting ploy there. Vidit goes king f6. And now the rook swings over to h1. King to g6. Pawn takes pawn, and g3 played. The pawn pushes to a4, and there you go, opening up the center. G takes f4. Now b6 played, trying to limit the pawns there. White has a central majority, but is it enough to play for a win? It seems like Vidit has managed to keep his disadvantage to a minimum. It's not easy to create a passer. You want to go ahead with your king, but if you do that, then the black rook infiltrates via d2. So that's the reason why Anish realizes that there is nothing much here for him. Generally in bullet you do try to keep playing on and on. Here rook to g1, but both sides playing so carefully here. This bullet game does look like a classical encounter, don't you agree? Such accurate and correct chess. Both of them have made no real errors, and there they've repeated, and the game is agreed to a draw with the score line reading 6-6.